Isn't that pretty cool?
Get it, babe.
One of my brothers, my spirit brothers, Mr. D. Murdoch. If you know, you know. He's the one that hooked me up with that. It's a little all-in-one stubby, and
Oh,
then you can
dig it out.
Dig it out.
Dang.
You know?
That's like a Swiss Army
bottom.
knife of
Yeah, it's kind of
stoner gadgets.
Cool. Yes.
Is this me here?
That'd be you, girl.
Looks like yours.
Sippy.
Allison said that her husband would love to do that with Tom's buddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sweet. It'd be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a really good one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, baby.
I love the wrap.
Yeah, I know. I ran out of materials. Need like one more to go through there.
Yeah, that was a nice
Nice rap job.
wrap job.
I am a rapper.
I mean,
Oh, is this the skills?
yeah.
Fucking be rabbit.
Boom, baby.
All right.
Mm-mm.
You gotta make me a promise though.
What's that?
Before the end of the podcast, you had to hit it at least once.
Okay. Oh, man. I haven't smoked out of a jig like that in a
Glass piece.
long time, man.
You know, like some people like to roll blunts and stuff like that, but that shit is harsh.
I do like little joints.
I like the little palm leaf
Yeah, joints are
ones
alright.
with the filter on them.
Yeah, those are pretty nice.
The long-term investment though of like a glass piece is like saves you a ton of money after you get to a certain point.
And hopefully I don't start smoking that much. I'm not a
Yeah.
big smoker.
But there are a lot of smokers out there,
100%.
marijuana smokers.
What you got on there, babe?
Sierra sent this to me. This is me 2 years ago in Walmart when I had rolled my ankle, and so I was
Oh, my gosh.
on the scooter. Look.
Is that guy telling you to get off?
I don't know what he's saying. I was like, I know I don't look like I'm hurt, but I am, so. Just let me
Oh my
be.
gosh.
Just let me be.
You.
All right.
I am fired up for tonight's podcast.
I am excited. Last camera track. Boom, boom. That's me. So, boom, boom. Can you put your phone on silent, Marie?
Ooh, I should probably put mine on silent.
I don't know that I know how to do that because this button is multifunctional now.
Just turn the volume all the way down.
Okay.
Or just put it on airplane mode for a little bit.
Okay, I got it. I figured it out, guys.
All right. We ready to roll, big guys? We are live. What is up, everybody? It is the Diesel Daddy podcast coming back again, and we got the OG crew here. We got me, Mr. Dozer Dollins, the biggest Diesel Daddy in the room. We got Jay Long back on the track. And I can't even think of a nickname for you today, big dog. What you got? Give yourself a little...
Hello.
Intro.
What is going on, world? Joshua Long here, a.k.a. Jay Resla, here to bring you high vibrations, beautiful frequencies, and a higher way of thinking. Hope you're ready for the ride tonight.
The Diesel Daddies are getting a little spiritual today.
Oh,
again.
yeah. Oh,
and we
yeah.
got our favorite Diesel baddie, Miss Shayna Marie, across the street from me.
It's me, Marie. Hi.
Oh, my gosh.
Love it.
So, yeah, we got a lot of episodes to do this week, too. We're doing two, maybe three this weekend. Well, no, two this weekend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be some awesome stuff coming in. Got some entrepreneurs going to be rolling in. And I'm real excited. We have Allison has been doing that a couple podcast episodes with us. That's doing a podcast with Shayna. Her husband is a 12-year military
He's a,
vet.
Yeah, retired veteran.
Tom,
at like 32.
Tom that you met today has a friend who's also a 12-year Air Force retiree, and we're all going to sit down here and just chat, man. That's going to be a good one. I'm excited for that one.
Fun.
Yeah, good stuff. But anyways, man, let's get into this. So you picked the topic today, and which I know nothing about. So we're just gonna let you just steer that, and we're just gonna roll with it, man. So what are we getting into today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an exciting one. First off, I just want to say that good things are here right now, right? And what we're here to do is to help everyone be informed in a way that allows them to form a perception that gives them a choice to choose and create how they will. So that's one. But tonight, we're going to talk about what's called the Wheel of Karma.
And I have never heard of that phrase before. I've heard of karma before, but I didn't know there was a wheel and what size tire is on that wheel. So
It's got pegs on it, that's for sure.
yeah. So first of all, so my idea of karma originally was not as, well, so I guess what I know it as today. I just thought, you do something bad and something bad happens back to you. That's
You
just
get
considered
karma'd.
karma.
Yeah.
So what's your definition of karma?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is pretty much as simple as that, However, where the misconceptions happen is that they think that karma is only a bad thing.
Yeah, you can get good karma
You can
too.
get good karma too, right? And so, first off, we have to be able to, in this moment right now, take a deep breath, just right?
Beautiful.
And relax, right? And you got to be able to let go of any biases moving through the rest of this conversation. You have to let go of any attachment of what you think the words that we talk about or the concepts that we talk about, right? You got to let go of any beliefs that you currently have about them and just be able to sit there in silence, really, in a neutral energy
Neutrality.
state, right? And when we talk about things, when we have these conversations, that you're going to get to hear, you will find that by just being present with the conversations and not labeling or judging what's being said, that you then begin to form your own perception about how you start to see things. And you might come to find out pretty quickly that there's a lot more similarities and a lot of things that can benefit you in your life and your family's life when we start, really what we're teaching is how to move in love.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So what is karma?
So, karma is the energy in the quantum field that is manifest into physical form. Okay, now again, a pre-statement, again, we all understand, right? Like everything is one thing, right? And so the idea is that everything is God, made of God, which is the God particle, if you will, the source of infinite energy that's at the base of all cellular structure, planets, animals, stars, people, tables, buildings, cities, jungles, animals, water, sea, boats. Anything and everything in the entire creation is all made of the same thing, right? And so we can they're actually starting to bring this out on mainstream now, but it's actually a common concept of understanding that we are in a simulation. We are made of light and sound frequency, right, which is information, and it just manifests in all these ways. And so what we're learning is how do I operate within this to manifest things in my life that I enjoy, I love, that excites me and my family, that fills my cup and fills everyone else's cup around me.
Okay.
That's a
So
start.
that's a start. So
So when I used to think of karma, I always thought like, as it refers to like Buddhism and Hinduism and stuff like that, it's like, you could level backwards is how I used to think. I know that that's
Yeah,
not necessarily
that's a good
true
one. Good
after reading a lot of stuff, but I thought, oh, well, if I do really bad in this life, I'm going to go back and I'm going to be, grasshopper or something like that. But that's not necessarily true. Can you
No.
elaborate on that?
Yeah, and that's gonna really drive us in. One thing I want to mention though about that is like what we're talking about, yes, is within those concepts, the Buddhism, the Hinduism, the different, India and all over, Punjabi, right?
what's
But
Punjabi?
I'll explain it later.
it is not those.
Okay.
Right? It's not a religion, but what we come to find when studying, all over India, Africa, ancient Egypt, all the way back. I mean, all the tablets coming out now that are like, we date back to 200,000 years ago, you know? And, but, where were we at?
Karma.
Tablets didn't
Going
do
back
that.
to going back to
I think the weed just kicked in.
going back
That
to
ball just kicked in. I'm excited. It's a lot of information, you know?
So, like,
And just trying to let it flow. And we
not
smoked a bowl
becoming
right before we
not
started.
becoming a grasshopper, not leveling
Yeah,
backwards.
so-
Leveling backwards.
Which we can get into reincarnation later on. But so, like, can you actually go backwards?
Okay, so no, not necessarily. I mean, I maybe at some point. I'm not like the ultimate teacher on that, but from what I know, right, based off of the momentum of the most chosen path of karma, right, either if it's a positive oriented path or it's a negative oriented path, will determine the next cycle of experience you have whenever you incarnate. Now that may be on Earth, might be somewhere else. Okay, and so. But karma is what we're really speaking about. Not really that deep into karma, but what I want to speak about is how we can utilize karma in the present moment to then help us begin creating the world we actually wish to be in.
Right. That's where real manifestation comes from, I think, is like the karmic choices that you make, because life is all about choices, right? And so you're always going to have some kind of consequence from whatever choice you make that kind of manifests the current state of your life, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's everything you do, right? And we're constantly, when we wake up, like I am, at least, you know, I'm in my head and I'm like, all right, Josh, you're gonna go eat that, you know, you're gonna go do that, you're gonna work out this morning? Yeah, I'm gonna work out. All right, next morning comes and you're like, let's just hit the snooze button one more time.
So how does didn't mean to interrupt you, but like discipline like that, like how does that karma? I always view karma as like on a personal level of like if I
Do something bad.
steal from somebody and then the universe will bring karma back to me in to the same extent of what harm I just caused to somebody else. So what would be the difference between like what you just said as far as like the, you know, hitting the snooze button and not doing something that you set out to do as a personal discipline as opposed to the example I just gave? Well, I guess how does karma play into both?
No, absolutely. And we're going to build right to that, right? And so it's on all levels, right? And so the willingness to like stick to a schedule, I guess, would be the one thing, right? We all need to be willing to stick to what we say we're going to do because we all set out goals for ourselves. I know we do. Mm-hmm. Nobody doesn't wake up and say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything and I'm not going to be better today.
I've had a few
I mean,
days
I
like
used
that.
to. I had years like that. I don't
get
know.
I get it. We all go through that.
Yeah.
We all
I
go
am
through that.
not
But
gonna be
really, there
better
comes
today.
a point. It comes a point in time where you're either going to kill yourself
Yeah.
and you're going to reincarnate
Yeah.
again and repeat your lessons,
Mm-hmm.
or
You're gonna learn the lesson.
you're gonna learn the lessons the hard way by saying you're gonna do it and then not doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
and figure
right?
out that's not working.
Okay, but it's not even just that. So that's just one point, right? Food, right? Are we on the absolute cleanest possible level eating the greatest things? And I can tell you right now, I'm not perfect right now. Nobody is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the goal. We're sharing this information with everybody, and we're giving everybody now the conscious choice to change something in their energetic sequence, right? And begin to produce a better karma. And so that's just another level, right? Okay, so now let's move up into the mental aspect of it. Okay, you do something wrong, something bad is going to happen back to you. You do something good, well, then like 1,000 times in reflect will that happen to you. So there's actually
So
a
you
bias.
get more points for good.
There's a bias scale, right? You're right. There's a bias scale of choices that are positive and the momentum that you receive back and the choices that are negative. Okay. And so did you have a question?
No.
Okay.
No, keep on.
And so the first step, right? And again, we're learning the wheel of karma. I can't just tell you what it is because like it's an
Ever
action
evolving.
of energy, right? And so
Well, let's help describe the wheel of karma. What
Are there
a
phases?
religion or belief or something like
No,
started that?
No,
Or
this is
or
just-
where did the idea come from?
well, this is just my version of it from
Okay.
my experience. And so
Okay.
once we get through the end of it, it'll make sense.
All right.
All right.
Proceed.
And so the first step is clearing the mind. Okay, we got to clear the mind because that is the driver of the blueprint or the idea of what you're manifesting. Okay, and if you're constantly thinking about different things and your mind is never your attention, right? To pay attention, right? To pay is currency. So attention is the currency of the universe. Right.
Wow.
And so where attention goes, energy begins to flow. And so attention isn't just external. Attention is on what we're constantly, our thought processes are running over and over and over. And,
What
you know,
you see, what you hear.
what you see, what you hear, what you do. Right. Okay. So it's going to be a ride. And so get ready for that. But that's okay because you're just aware now and you're consciously working on getting better. And so the first step is the self down talk.
Okay.
That's the first one that's got to go. Because to command a negative frequency upon yourself is the worst thing you could possibly do to your vibrational frequency. And it is blocking things in your life from happening that should be happening. Right? And so we're going to get into how to identify this wheel of karma as well, because it's an equal and opposite. It's as above, so below. Right? It's happening simultaneously, but we got to talk about it in a linear fashion because that's the only way the human brain can understand it.
So, I loosely Googled the Wheel of Karma before we came here, and it was basically like a cycle of reincarnation. And I guess somewhat of the goal was to find a way to get out of it, to free yourself from
To
the wheel.
graduate into the next density.
So is that what that is? We've talked about densities on
Yeah.
the previous podcast.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that'd
yeah.
be
So understand, you guys know what fractal patterns are?
like an
So-
LSD trip. you
Well,
know?
so yeah, well, kind of, yeah, they
Yeah.
use them in that, and you see that whenever you're in that
It's like
that state
kaleidoscope.
of mind. Yeah. Well, what a fractal pattern is a pattern that has its pattern within itself that makes it up, and then it's the exact same pattern, and then into the next one, and into the next one, infinitely. It never ends. A fractal pattern never ends, and it's the same on every scale, right? So imagine the scales is like the planet, the elements, the water, the animals, the humans, the environment, right? The planet, and then the other planets, right? We're all made of the exact same fractal pattern, right?
Like DNA.
Yeah, DNA would be made of this fractal pattern, but in its own fractal pattern that makes DNA.
Right.
Right?
Yep. Drink break.
I should have got a large. Woo. So,
Fractal pattern.
oh yeah, so you know,
The
the
good ass weed, man.
it's what we do within this incarnation, right? That is the karma, actions and doings and thinkings and being, right? And then you incarnate on a cycle in and out of planetary experiences, right? Based off of the vibrational frequency, right? And so if you didn't learn your lesson, you're going to cycle right back in. You got to start that lesson over.
So how do you get out of this wheel?
You got to graduate through
Okay,
the
so-
frequencies, right?
Yeah, well, you gotta raise your vibrational. The game is like you are the frequency, you
Right.
are the vibration, and so the idea is to let go of everything you are not. Whenever you let everything go of that you are not, then you rise to your natural frequency. Because we don't actually raise our frequency. When we let go of the things we are not, we become our natural frequency, which
Right.
is extremely high vibrational frequency.
Right.
Right.
So if we graduate into a new density, do you keep reincarnating after that?
So here's the cool thing, right? Because we're at the top end of this third density going into fourth density, right? And the most talented and beautiful souls of all of creation are here right now. We're here right now because
At this table.
and everyone listening and everyone else. We would not be here if we weren't the, I guess, most developed, most trained,
Collective.
most loving collective of souls from all over creation that have incarnated into this planet right now to help through this time period. And we all see it. We all see the writing on the wall. We got fake governments. We got slander. We got trafficking. We got all of these things. Well, you know what? You can't, not many people can just go and fight the elites and this and that other. No, but what you can do is raise your vibrational frequency because
That changes everything around you.
that changes everything around you,
Yeah.
right? Because when we realize that Everything is a simulation. We're back to this idea again. We are in a simulation, and everything outside of you is just a reflection of what's inside of you. So when you change the frequency or you let go of those thoughts that are constantly running, right, you begin to be able to engage with this wheel of karma.
Okay. So now I have so many questions. I don't even know how to ask the right one to like keep us from
That's
derailing.
okay. Just let the first one flow through. Don't even think about it.
Yeah. So okay. So now if we're in a wheel of karma, okay, and I guess getting out is the goal, I guess to graduate and stuff. And, if we created all this for ourselves, do we create the idea, or whatever entity that we chose? I guess. See,
what happens is you
how
begin.
Did this get created? If the goal is to get out of it, why did we create this for ourselves to experience?
Here's the deal, okay? It's nothing that we're getting out of because there's nothing there to be in.
It's the whole, it's the
Right? It's
experience.
That's
it's
the point.
Experience.
Yeah.
I feel like the reason why they call it a wheel is because it's cyclical. So you're going through these different cycles, right? And you're learning lessons through the cycles and making different choices. And then that produces bad or good karma.
Yeah, absolutely. And, here's a real important thing to understand. It matters not how it works. It just matters to know how to use the controller.
Yeah. Get to the destination.
Okay. So you don't, and that the human mind has a hard time with that because we want to know everything, right? But really we could just be and do these, you just be and do your true authentic self and let go of the little mind or the little ego or the little protective personality, whatever you think it is up here, that little voice, just let it go. And start to learn how to engage with this holographic reality, which is a simulation, right? And then you'll see that better outcomes in life begin to produce, right? And it might be something small at first, Might be all of a sudden, you've been, say you got a child and you've been having a struggle with them or their attitude or whatever it may be, right? Well, it's real easy when you're in that present moment to feel those emotions, which when you feel those emotions, it causes familiar thought processes, right? Because it's repetitive. But imagine if whenever it happens, right, you don't have any thought process about what's going on. You just tell them you love them. You stand in your boundaries. You do what you need to do as a parent. You send them back to their room and go to bed. You go to sleep. You never think about it again. And then what you'll see is all of a sudden, bam, like that, all of a sudden the kids show up and they're like the best thing in the world.
Well, sometimes.
Have you had a toddler?
Yep. So I guess where did the wheel of karma come from? Who came up with how does this thing even come about even being discovered?
Yeah, so I can't really tell you that. Nick, over the last 7.5 years, I've studied so many different things that it all is just blended into this information that now flows. But again, it's nothing to have to believe in, right? It's all the pudding's in the practice, right? So if you sit there and take 2 minutes and you go, okay, Josh says, okay, I just need to sit here. I need to let go of the little voice in my head, right? And just start kind of breathing comfortably, slowly, deeply for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Try to reach 5 minutes, and just consciously be aware of the little voice in your head. And whatever it says, that's okay. If it's negative self-down talk, you want to counter that with, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That's an old Hawaiian clearing code. Hopino, opino. HOPO, something like that.
Mississippi?
Yeah, you can put that in Google and you'll see
Hopino.
it. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Mr. Vitale, I think, what was his name? The one that wrote those really good books. You know what I'm talking about, but we'll figure it out later. Vitale, I think, is the last name.
Vitale? I don't know.
Something Vitale. But so the wheel of karma, right? Well, again, let's reel back to what we're actually talking about here, and it's about what we're doing in the present moment to produce the next moment in a higher vibrational frequency.
I think when I started to actually realize that I had raised my vibration, different things were just not in my life anymore. I wasn't attracted and didn't want to be around certain different, groups of people and stuff because I just wasn't at the same plane that they were at, and they just fell off. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I have to break this friendship up. You know, it was just like just going a different direction, and you know, that was fine. But when you were talking before about like the food and stuff like that, I had went to this weekend yoga, whatever. What would you call that? Retreat. That's the word.
Yoga retreat.
So, and we ate vegan food the whole time. And like we did breath work and we did all these different yoga flows and stuff like that. And it was crazy how different I felt when I went back out into the real world. Because like I was in nature and we were camping and we were eating all this good food, and literally everyone around you like had such a high vibration and were so just loving and peaceful that you could like literally, like, it was palpable. You could feel it, you know? And then when I went back out into the real world, I was like, wow, this is a lot, you know?
It's amazing.
So
It truly
how
is.
does your vibrational frequency affect karma?
Oh, vibrational
Well,
frequency
bring
is everything.
karma in as I'm defining it right now would be like you do something and then you receive back. From a negative thing, like does that make sense? Like how can you how are the two correlated?
The vibrational frequency,
And karma.
it matters everything. So think of it this way, okay? You have different levels of vibrational frequency from the lower levels, right? And then every emotion resonates, every action resonates on a different plane, different level of vibrational frequency. Whatever you do throughout your day is considered what's called a momentum of vibrational frequency, right? It would be like a measure for that day, right? And so if the majority of your day you was doing some negative or down talking or had anxiety or was just depression or whatever it may be, right? Well, then the next momentum of projection of reality that happens to you is going to match that
Reflect that.
vibration. It's going to be a domino effect of that vibrational frequency. Now,
That's why
you might-
negative people like to be around negative people.
well, here's a good.
That's
Like
true,
you talked
yeah.
about, like sometimes like your environments, your group of people that you're around, right? The people you choose to be around you, right? Everything plays into the vibrational ingredient of your beingness, right? And that's food. That's everything, and so. Once that you get to the point, so there's like it's not a cheat code, but it's like the God code, right? And that is just being the highest vibrational frequency with no thought. It trumps all. It's like the Big Bertha of Rummy 500, or it's like it's the big boy
I
action,
love Rummy
right?
500.
Oh my God, me
Oh,
too. I've been teaching Nick.
I
I've
know,
been
You don't
I
teaching
know
Nick.
how to play?
Well, I do now. I just learned.
All right, listen.
Thanks to
How
Josh.
good you are at chess, that's me at Rummy. So let's
Oh,
go.
let's go.
Okay.
I challenge thee. Me and my mom, we're on a run to 500 games because that's the real flex. Is
We
who can
used
win
to-
500 games first.
When I was
You're
growing
15
up,
games behind.
when I was growing up, we would
That's like a 3-year project.
No, me and my mom
No.
can knock that
You can-
down in like
a couple
3
of
or
days.
4 months. Nah, 500 games? 500 games, I mean,
That's
because
a lot of games.
me and my mom, we can end rounds in like between 4 and 7 hands like every time.
Dang, that's awesome.
Every time, yeah, and that makes a difference because it could take a while. You get enough people in there, it could take one game can take an hour and a half, 2 hours.
We used to bet
man.
too when I was a kid. We would save up all
you'd
of
be
our
killing.
change.
Everybody be killing each other
we
because
would,
of the
yeah,
game.
we would
Oh,
have
yeah.
Crown Royal bags filled with change, and then that's what we would gamble with. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
like 6 years old.
My mom, she's the best, man. She taught me everything I know. And she's one of the ones that'll just, out of nowhere, she'll just dominate you in the
Yeah,
game.
just
You're
lay it out and
"Oh,
pick up the
God."
whole pile. I hate the
Yeah.
pile picker uppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll bring it back to karma. Now, do you experience karma from a previous life? Let's say, like, if you develop some type of negative karma in a previous life and you reincarnate, like, how would you experience? Let's say,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's say, just an example that you steal a car, okay, and then
Maybe
you
you
get in
your
a police
car
chase
stolen.
and then you die in that
Whoa,
said
shit.
police chase, and then you reincarnate as I guess another human. What, like, how does that wheel or these metaphysical laws, like, how does that play out?
Yeah. Well, here's the cool thing, right? Whenever our bodies lay down from here, this meat suit made of light and sound frequency, right? We actually get to choose the experience we have. Now, we don't get to choose the vibrational frequency because we chose it here, and you choose it in the incarnation through your actions, thoughts, and deeds.
I feel like, though, if you're at like third density, like we say that we are now, right? And then, you know, how they talk about now, like we're moving into fourth density, but we're going to be on the same like Earth, but we'll be in a separate
different Earth.
density, but a
It'd
new
be
Earth, right?
Earths existing at the same time, but completely physically separate from each other.
Right. But if you don't level up, you're going to be hanging out in third density while other people are in fourth density.
Only until it ends,
Right.
because then Earth doesn't reincarnate in a third density no more.
Because it's a third density
And so
planet.
once you pass away this time, if you have not graduated, well, then you will reincarnate on a third density planet other than Earth. And Earth is the planet of the most free will in all of the cosmos and the experiences, right? Which could probably kind of be a little bit translated into why people think heaven and hell is such a dominant thing. But really, we're living in heaven right now, and we're the ones creating.
You can create hell for yourself here if you want to.
Exactly. And so, you know, again, we exist, and if all energy just is, you can't create nor destroy energy, well, then we can never die. We've never died. We never will. We'll just keep on playing the game, baby.
Keep on, baby. It's rummy infinity.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you feel like that maybe you've done in a previous life that you're dealing with learning lessons from karma in this one?
Well, you know,
To get personal and just tell me everything you've done wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some, not even in other lives.
We're just on this
I'm
one.
like,
Let's just talk about this one.
I haven't even, I've, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm cleaning the last of everything that I had left to go in this life. And I don't regret one thing that I've ever done, you know, because it made me who I am today. And although there's been some horrific, terrifying, embarrassing things people probably can never fathom that I've experienced and done, you know, but I've asked for my forgiveness, and then I realized that I could forgive
in all of those things.
a lesson in all of those things. Then I realized that I wasn't just asking for forgiveness, but I needed to forgive myself, right? So you work through these different ladders, if you will, or steps or concepts. And then, you know, it took a lot of practice. I mean, I've been, you know, these aren't just new concepts and ideas to me. I've been studying every angle of God that I can possibly read and see and do and experience. And then you get it all in there, and then you get it all ready to roll, and everything's great to go, and then you just don't act.
Yeah, I was I think it was the Law of One in book 1. Yeah, I think it was book 1 where Ra was talking about karma and Jesus and forgiveness, and he said whatever, they, them, I don't know.
The entity. It probably is a they, them, actually.
Well,
the entity known as
they
Ra.
don't have sex. The mind of
How do
that
you know?
entity. I don't know. Probably got a big old dang-a-lang.
Okay.
Rah, rah. Ooh, la, la.
Ooh la la.
But anyway, so, but it was saying that that forgiveness is the ultimate and the only way to completely alleviate karma that you are doomed to experience. And Jesus coming down to teach love and forgiveness was teaching a way to alleviate karma so we could all graduate through complete forgiveness. And that's why even in his dying breath, you know,
Father, forgive them.
for they do not know what they do. They have no idea what they're doing, so forgive them. Forgiveness is the only way to really graduate out of the wheel of karma.
I've forgiven some people that I really, really hated and did me dirty, and didn't ever think that I could forgive them, you know, but forgiveness, it just really sets you free when you can actually for real forgive that person. I mean, you just feel lighter, you know?
100%. And so let's say if that's true, okay, and are you bound to, like, let's say, you know, you cheat on somebody, okay, and you forgive yourself, that other person doesn't forgive you, are you, I guess, what, you know what I mean? Like, are you still stuck in the wheel until that person, are you bound by that person's...
that karmic decision or karmic relationship?
That is in the complete other hands of the other person that you did wrong.
You know, it's not as direct, right? So okay, yeah, the karmic action of doing that after, creating a relationship and doing all of that, right? There's those guidelines and standards and everything that you put in place before you get in a relationship. And when you break those, right, that's a karmic decision. Now, but you could handle it a different way. You could have just faced it up front and said, hey, here's where I'm at, and I love you, and I have no judgment, but I'm moving on. And then you did it. That's a whole different karmic debt. But that's not a debt. It's a positive debt because you handled that correctly. That was a lesson. That was an experience, right? And so before we come in here, before we incarnate, I knew that I created this experience, and I was going to see, okay, am I going to go down this pathway, or am I going to go down that pathway? And then I incarnate into this planet, and I go through these lessons that I created prior to coming in here. But the lessons I created were to level me up to the next deal. That's one of the things we're all excited about coming in here, is because it's like we're gonna get the chance and opportunity to level our souls.
And you can, like, in that book that we read, Law of One, this is so true, and I've seen it happen in my life so many times, but the same lesson will manifest and repeat itself in different people in your life. It may not be a romantic partner, it might be a boss, it might be a sibling, it might be you
might see someone doing it to someone else.
Exactly. And so, like, learning those lessons will continue to come to you until you learn them. I've repeated that cycle several times in my life, and I'm like, oh, this again. You know what? I'm going to make a different choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was when I was reading before we even came here about karmic relationships and how that affects. So, like, what if, like the situation I just gave earlier about the other person's forgive you, but you truly forgive yourself? What if you reincarnate and you meet this person? They said that when you're recognizing a karmic situation or relationship, that you feel that extremely strong magnetic pull for whatever reason that you can't explain. So what if you reincarnate back to teach them the lesson of forgiveness?
You absolutely do.
Yourself?
We're all the same soul, but we're all infinite essences of that same soul. And so we are absolutely a team working together to lift this planet into much higher octaves and to continue from there. It's infinite. It keeps going. But we're at this junction point right now that it's vital that we awaken to this and we just work on ourselves. And one of the best things that came to me like 3 days ago, it just hit me like a sack of bricks. It was like, if you're not working on yourself more than anything else in the world, you're missing the cart.
100%.
You can't do anything about anybody else. All you can do is about yourself, And it's self-awareness and being able to, like, look at yourself from an objective, like, standpoint without judging yourself,
So,
Beautiful.
Like, if reincarnation is real, okay, and the goal of reincarnating is to clear karmic debt that you've accrued or to teach others, but if we reincarnate and don't have any memory of a past life or even knowing what you did, I mean, wouldn't it be easier to have some memory of what you did and why you're going to learn the lesson instead of...
Yeah, and it was actually too easy, which is why we're veiled. That's why we don't know. Because we have to wake up to that and figure it out for ourselves, because no one's coming to save us. It's on us.
Well, then could you get eternally stuck in this wheel? I mean, because you don't really ever know why you're experiencing something. I guess what would be the thing that could push you in a direction of knowing? Because we talked in a previous podcast before about this, that after we graduate into the fourth density, we don't lose, or we lose the veil. We lose the veil.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So through the first densities, right, and dimensions, the lower chakras, right, the deeper, harder, more rooted chakras in versus the upper chakra, which is unity, right, and then it becomes expansive, it becomes free, it becomes mobile, right, and so one more time on your question though.
Oh, that's some good weed.
That's some good smoke.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Neither of you remember.
I didn't even smoke yet. So I guess it was with the veil.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
like
the veil.
Losing the veil.
Right.
Why would the veil be there if we could
absolutely
learn?
the veil. I remember now. Yeah. So that's because
got that amnesia weed, man.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is because there's some wild concepts, and I'm
So
trying
make that
to
Down
I'm
syndrome
trying to
kick in.
determine where to go to keep everybody reeled in.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the veil, right? The veil is important in the beginning because it accelerates our ability to graduate into the next density. Now, the first like 2 densities, you spend quite a much longer cycle within those, but in third density, it's about every 75,000 years a window comes along for everybody to be able to move into a portal, I assume, right? To move into this portal and shift into the higher vibrational frequency experience, right? And so without the veil, it wasn't working out right for them. And there's some really good sources on this. Dolores Cannon's a great source.
I love her.
The raw material is a great source if you want to dive in deeper into that understanding. But you're right about losing the veil when we graduate into the 4th density. Once we awaken and we begin to vibrate at the frequency of love and unity, right, which is the 4th density is the density of love. Imagine if the whole game board was wiped and you lived in a world where all there was love.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. All there was love. Abundance, food, clean food, interstellar civilizations. We're going to go to 1,000 years of golden age. We're going to populate the entire solar system. We're going to be able to travel consciously into different dimensions and different realms and all of these things, right?
I feel
All
like
of that
Daddy
is coming.
Elon's going to help us with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, hey, look, Elon's done what he's done, but and there will always be multiple forces upon the 3rd density at play,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's important just not to attach to anyone, just to observe that they're there in your environment, and then ask yourself the question, what does that represent within me? How do I feel about myself? What is that? If that's something that's like in your thing, right? Not just Elon Musk. That's with all things.
So, question. Like we've talked about before, and I've read in the Law of One that higher density beings can take a 3rd density body, I guess, and operate and do things.
That's what
And-
Jesus did.
Well, yeah, exactly. So in the raw material, they said he was a higher end 4th density that came back, and then through that ended up graduating into 5th density through his 3rd density experience. But I'm even higher densities than that. If they come back into a 3rd density body, already having graduated out of 3rd density, and they're doing that out of service or service to self, can they accrue karmic debt even though they've already graduated?
Yeah, so good question. Yes, absolutely they can. When anyone incarnates in a 3rd density planet, they're veiled.
And then if
So they wouldn't know
They
technically
wouldn't
that they
know.
were a higher density being.
And if you don't wake up to the fact, you reincarnate again until you do.
well, from what I've read, these
I think
3rd
that's why there's people that are healers and stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
They've been here so many
those-
times now they've wakened.
those capabilities are still in them as an entity,
Exactly.
even though they are here. You
Uh-huh.
know? Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's why they say Jesus lived a perfect life, because he reincarnated and didn't accrue any karma.
That's a
but
great
let's
He
say,
didn't make those
you know,
mistakes. Yeah.
And I mean that makes sense for everything that we're talking about. But let's say like the negative entities that are, let's say like in control of our country. If you're saying what we're talking about, like the people in cabinet and all of this bull crap, I mean, that are killing us.
Yeah,
you know,
literally.
And I feel like a part of them must know that they are of a higher density being. They're coming back to like manipulate and control. I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if they are doing that and they already know who they really are or who their soul is, if they're accruing, or I guess why would they come back and then accrue a karmic debt in 3rd density to, I guess where do they go after that?
Those evil people haven't learned their lessons yet.
Well, here's the funny
or,
part
well,
about
maybe
this.
they have, and they're coming
Yeah.
back with more power to control, or what for whatever reason.
Yeah, I got a great explanation on this, right? The first part is to understand that everything is made of the same thing, okay? It's just
Right.
playing itself out. In this realm, in this world, we see things in duality, polarity, positive and a negative, right? Up and a down, right and a left. Everything has contrast to it. Okay. And so this is no different, right? So what we're seeing, because we're multidimensional beings, we have the capability of observing multiple dimensions, billions of different dimensions simultaneously, and then choose consciously which one we wish to manifest in. Okay. These people, so a difference between the entity of a positive oriented and a negative oriented, right, is one, the positive oriented it awakens to the understanding and fact of unity, and that everything is of the same body of God. Everything is made of God. Everything is alive, exists solely on the fact that it's God. The source of light that produces all the cellular structures, the bone structures, the ligaments, the body, allows us to walk around in this realm on this rock while we spin and do all kinds of like wild things. I mean, we're performing miracles like literally every second of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that super sleeper smoker, baby. Yeah.
Man.
Two types of beings, right?
Yeah.
So one sees a unity, and so it wants to love and support and be connected with and help or all that. Well, the only difference and there's nothing that's a beautiful, perfect life, right? Well, even with the negative oriented entity, they also too understand that everything is made of God, and they understand that they are the center of the universe, because each of us are the center of the universe,
Our
right?
universe,
And
yeah.
so they are in a momentum that they believe that everything was made for them, and that they are supposed to have dominion and dominate and control, and that's just what it's supposed to be. And so it's not seen as a like, this or that, right? Because one obviously doesn't observe the other; it wants to control it.
Yeah,
Whereas
it
one
literally
side
is-
observes both and then chooses love.
Right.
It sounds like, like the God of the Bible comes back to, get followers to people to follow him. What's happening on a even less level would be like anybody that's existing in a higher power in this third density, trying to get them to serve them.
Right.
So it's
Exactly.
literally the same exact scenario, just playing out, I guess
different
on
people
a
on a-
smaller level. I guess positive and negative or self-centered oriented beings, I guess. So, like the metaphysical side, we can just dive down this rabbit hole forever, So how does this affect people in day-to-day life and choosing like what to do, and like what is there to really look forward to in doing good or serving yourself? If I choose to be, in service to self, I guess what would be the negative effect of that, if as opposed to being in service to others, like this massive duality that's happening that we're experiencing? I guess what's the benefit of choosing, love and acceptance and in service to others as opposed to just serving the self?
Yeah, well, in just to kind of touch on it, because it's not just service to others, right? It only needs to be 51% service to others. So although the service to others is a choice of path, it is not really your moment by moment, your thought process, where the first thing to go that you have to let go is that label machine
'Cause you can
inside
be-
your head.
You can be, sorry. You can be in over service to others, and then that's a disservice to yourself. You know what I mean? So like there has to be a balance there. You can't always be only serving others, because then you're a doormat,
That's right.
and you're not loving yourself and serving yourself.
I feel like studying this more and more, a lot of times I feel like I'm losing purpose or drive, because and I don't want to feel this way, but I feel like, why does it matter anyways? Any of this. So we're sitting here talking, doing this podcast, and the more I really dive down, really like nothing matters at all.
Nothing matters at all.
I know. And it's very defeating.
Well, it's not defeating,
That's
because
what
that's
it-
what's so beautiful about it, is that nothing matters. So if nothing matters, that means that there's nothing that's going to cause the little mind to run and tell you why you aren't who you are or shouldn't be doing what you're doing, or put doubt or shame in you, right?
Because
But
you're not having a drive behind just being. You're getting to just be. And then you get to actually live in the present. Because a lot of not just being and existing is living in the past or wishing for the future, when you can just be and be present.
That's right. That's right.
I guess like to add to that is like I don't even, sometimes I feel like I don't even know what to choose. Like I've read so much stuff now, read the Bible so much, and diving into spirituality, and changing my beliefs about the Bible. And the more I read about, or even not really read, well, I guess read, I do read a lot about it, and just meditate on it. And sometimes like what does it matter? But also, I guess the reason I'm saying that, because we're here to choose. The duality's there. And sometimes I feel like, maybe I just can't choose, because I don't really know what to do. And like when I think of, like, reflect on my actions and stuff, am I really doing it in service to others, or is it even possible to ever do anything in service to others? Because by serving others, you're serving yourself. But also, if you serve yourself, you're serving others. Does that make sense? Like, what am I doing at all? Like, how do you ever truly serve somebody else without thinking about yourself at all?
Well, you're always
does that make sense?
You're always going to think about yourself. But, first thing is, we have to let go of the mind. And part of letting go of the mind is letting go of the reasons to why we want to know something. The whole idea of wanting to grasp the concept right now, even though the concept hasn't even had a chance to play itself out through your practice. Yeah. It's not about knowing how, right? And especially if we can learn how to turn from wanting to know the information from an external experience or source or information and let go all thought of everything around us, literally becoming no one, nowhere, no time, no thing, right? And turning inwards and beginning to know thyself. You can't know thyself until you let go of everything you are not. And it takes more than, I've been, again, the whole meditation thing, a lot of people get into meditation thing and don't even worry about the word meditation. The idea is can you sit in one place and let go of your mind to complete silence to an hour? Can you do an hour? Probably not.
I can think about nothing forever, but I don't think that I have ever, maybe one time, actually like meditated. Like, I don't even know what it's supposed to feel like.
Well, so I went through this exact same thing, right? And
am I doing it? Am I doing it now?
What I came to understand.
What about now? Am I doing it?
Well, see, and that's the little mind we're trying to let go of, right? You can't even ask yourself, am I doing it right now? Am I doing this right? Right? That's the voice we're letting go, right? Yeah. And so, but what I came to find out is once you get into the state, because you get into the state, it happens for a while, and then it's like, okay, am I doing it right? Right? What I found is that the practice is moving out of the mind and into the body, right? And so you say, I can't feel nothing, right? Well, when you properly learn how to move your mind into your body, right, then the idea of thinking isn't even there. Right. And then the idea is to hold your attention, right? Where we pay attention is the currency, where energy goes, energy flows. Hold it in one specific spot within your body. So a good practice they call blessing of the energy centers, right? And so like holding your mind, like, the little area there that you would squeeze if you need to stop peeing. Kegels. The gooch. Right? Okay. So, a good practice would be to, maybe engage that and hold that there and let go of your mind and just hold your attention on that one spot. Hold your attention on that one spot for an hour and tell me what happens. If you can get to an hour, and the idea is to be so hyper aware that you can count how many times your mind trails off silence. And every time you go, oh, wait, I'm thinking, right back to zero. Bring it right back to that point, right? And practice that over and over and over. Practice it for 30 days, every single day, Start creating a new vibrational signal, because when we change the energy, well, the energy has to respond, but it can't respond in the same format because that's not the signal that was sent out.
Right.
And consistency is the key.
It's like being on a different radio station.
Being on a completely different frequency.
So in your, I guess, belief, or do you believe that we are gods and we created this world? If we are God in some sense?
So again, it's not a God over anything, right? That's not what we mean. But when we talk about being God, that's because we're literally made of God.
Part of God. All the universes.
Imagine the cells inside of our body. Imagine us like that in the body of Christ, right? The Christos, right? And then imagine the Christos along with many other celestial bodies inside of a larger structure in a body, right? It's the fractal patterns, right? The same thing over and over and over. So if all there is God, well then yes, I am God. That I am, right?
So then why even exist? If God created this world so we can all learn who we are and then go back to God, what was the point of sending us here to go back to the same place if we were already there?
Imagine, right?
If we already started at the goal, why would we go backwards to just get back to the goal again?
I think you experience life differently in this world. You communicate differently. Higher densities don't have to talk. They just travel through
telepathy.
Travel through thought, right? So like
which we'll get to.
this experience I have read is, we have the 5 senses, sometimes 6 if you're in tune to that, but you don't experience life on the same wavelength maybe
Yeah.
if you're not here,
Yeah, I guess. Do you think that we like choose everything that we have to experience now? Like I chose everything.
Absolutely. Every single event that's ever happened in your
Well,
life.
or what about our physical looks and body? Do we have?
Everything. Your family, your parents, your partners, your everything. Your kids, everything.
Well, I guess I missed the check mark on like dick size because I feel like I would have made it a lot bigger.
Hello.
Yeah, right.
Heyo.
Just want to make sure everybody's still paying attention.
Yeah. But it's so interesting. Like even getting into this. Well, aside from like what I excuse me just said.
Like we're gonna have a level 10 catalyst lesson here.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to learn.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and chop it in half.
My parents went to a psychic when I was younger, and they had it recorded on like a cassette, and this psychic said that they had been together in all of their past lives, and they
Wow.
will continue to be together in many of their next lives. That's
Very
what she
cool.
said. Mhm.
I think sometimes that growing up Christian, like I still have this worry in the back of my head. I think it's what I'm saying. Like I get scared to like choose or like what am I choosing? Am I
You're not
really
choosing anything. That's the point, Nicholas. Just let it all go
Well,
and begin to know thyself. Place your mind on the body that's creating everything in this world.
So, I mean, I guess I don't even know how to describe it. I guess maybe it's just a whole lifetime of being beaten with the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
Well,
you're
imagine
like,
it like
oh,
this.
if I explore this, that's dark energy, or
This is
that's
where I need
like,
my
I'm
whiteboard.
really- I'm
This
really
is where I
not-
need my whiteboard so I can draw a picture, right?
Exactly. Like,
Okay.
like really, I guess
Imagine
not
this.
even like what I'm thinking or doing, or I'm scared of or making touch with a dark entity or whatever. But like, if I get to my end of my life, and maybe there is a God outside of us that we didn't serve correctly. Maybe not the God of the Bible, but something else. I mean, I guess.
Well, there's like all the information, all the sciences, quantum science, epigenetics, everything now to our absolute highest technological and scientific understandings prove that we are in a simulation and that there is an infinite energy of love that is basically at the creation of all things, right? And higher vibrational frequencies, right, from here are love. And so if you were correct, well, then the worst thing that you're going to have to experience is probably something similar to this.
Right.
I don't want to do this again.
All right. Well, then it's time to move on to the next
I
level.
don't want to do this again either. I'm good now. Like from here, coming from the bottom and we up,
Yeah, we're there, man. We are at the brim of the most exciting, thrilling feeling experience ever. And so back to feeling, right? I've got some good practices for feeling, right? Some breath work practices that are
Feeling, but in what
to
definition?
help
Like
bring the
emotional?
mind, to help bring the mind into the
Clarity?
body, and during like, say a meditation experience, how to bring the mind into the body. Because the first couple times I teach you how to do it and you learn how to move into that sensation, you're going to go, oh.
I want to say something before you get into it, before I forget. So when I got hypnotized talking about your mind and your body and how much you think that you're in control of your body, like I'm picking this up, to drink it. But when I got hypnotized, I realized that my mind was in the driver's seat and I didn't have any control.
Your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Yes, my subconscious mind was completely in the driver's seat and I didn't have the control that I thought that I had, and that was wild to
You
me.
don't have
It's
any control at
important.
all,
It's
okay.
important to notate real quick that it's not the subconscious mind. It's the subconscious, the conscious, and then you have the protective personality. Those are 3 separate buckets of ideas because we don't want to accidentally label our subconscious as a mind. Our subconscious is the most powerful computer. Like the amount of memory, like that it says that it's storing like 99% of the memory, and it like is like the 99% operator driver, but then the conscious part of us,
That's
right?
what acts.
And that we also, in this conscious part, we experience the mind, right? The protective personality, which is still separate from both of those. Like you said, that's the one that's writing the script, and through repetition of experiences, it imprints into the memory bank of the subconscious, and then the subconscious runs the body. And so every time that you go get an energy drink every single morning, that's a subconscious program. My mind or body doesn't even need to want to do it, or do want to do it, or not want to do it. Probably more than likely, I'm going to drive over there. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to say hi to the same person. I'm going to go grab the same energy drink. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to say, how you doing today? Come and see me at Jimmy Long Truck Country, where we do what we do for people like you.
Shout out to Truck Country.
Truck
real quick,
Country.
for sponsoring this podcast, because they let us, or
Work
we
there.
let us, and Jimmy didn't have much say in it, but we started the podcast at the dealership, so
We're very
they get free sponsorship shout out. So if you guys are in the market for a good quality used diesel truck, holler at the Diesel Daddies. Which is why we actually named this podcast the Diesel Daddies, and we never talk about diesel trucks at all. But anyways, didn't mean to derail there. Little word from our sponsor. Back to you, Josh.
I know, right? All right. And so,
You know, it's crazy to think about, like, back to control of your body and stuff. Like, when was the last time you ever had to tell your heart to beat?
Never.
never.
You know what I mean? Or your hair to grow.
And that's the point. Our actions are just like the heart beating, you know, and we can change those signals, but it all starts with clearing the mind of the thought process, or at least being so aware of the thought process that the thoughts aren't far off task. Right? Because when we can put all of our attention into what it is we truly are, right? Even though something, you know, unfortunate may be repeating in your life, then now that you're waking up and you're becoming aware, when that next unfortunate thing happens, because you've now recognized the fractal
Yes.
pattern of that experience,
Yes.
you're going to look at it with neutrality, right? And have no thought. Don't label it. Don't judge it. Don't
Have an
a-
attachment
Don't
to
have an
it.
attachment to it. Just sit there with it, and you're going to feel the energy that is letting go that was causing that repetition in that karmic cycle. And when that energy is able to transmute, right?
Pass.
Maybe you're crying. That's okay, but you're neutrally crying, and you're not depressively attaching to why she did that, or, you know, why did he do that? You know, you're just going, all right, this is what I needed. This
To
is
let it go.
This
or
is what I
whatever, yeah.
needed, and I'm thankful, and thank you, Father, thank you, Mother, right? It's an understanding of gratitude that I'm not thinking something outside of me, but if I know that everything is a reflection of my inside, when I speak to myself, I speak to the whole, you know?
So does mental actions, I guess, a way of thinking, so like judgment, when you judge something, does that incur a karmic debt?
That's the number one tie to karmic debt is judgment
Ooh.
and attachment.
Shout out to mom and dad.
Well, so like the reason I say that is so like everybody that says we're going to hell for even thinking and entertaining this stuff, and
That's
but
judgment
we stand
and
our
shame.
ground, you know. So who's incurring the karmic debt and who's teaching who what?
You know, any
Could
time.
be both sides.
Anytime, and here's the thing, if you spot it, you got it. All right.
Whoa,
So
okay.
if you all of a sudden are irritated because of something that person over there did, well, you spot that energy, which is a reflection of you. It's not a different person, although it's a different person. And you're just feeling, it's not like they threw the energy at you. You feel it within.
Yeah, you just spotted it, and that person may have not done anything directly to you, but you feel a certain way about it.
Right?
Well, and so like dude, my guilty pleasure, dude, I love watching The Bachelor, and I judge the shit out of those bitches, dude, because it's fun.
So imagine.
You know what I mean?
All right,
But
so
I guess
imagine.
in a fun way, not like in a very
Not in a
Even in a
mean
fun
way.
way. I know,
Yeah.
but hear
You
me
know?
out, because it's important you understand this. All right. Even in a fun, joking way, if the idea, words, or concepts of the judgment are of low vibrational frequency, right? Oh, that bitch is fat. I don't know what he's with her for.
Sorry.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
I guess I
Like,
got a lot more debt to clear than I thought.
yeah.
I've been
You
saying that
know?
for a while.
Like, damn, dude. You know, that guy's a hoe. You know, like whatever the show you're watching is, I don't know.
Or I mean, in real life, because man, I'm guilty because for that kind of just humor in general. I just
Like, look
say,
at that forehead.
I say, oh yeah, like when I'm
We're
talking-
addicted to it. That's
you
what I'm
know?
saying. And it's so funny. It's like everyone that's in these lower states of frequency, like you're addicted to it. You create it because you want to experience more of it because you haven't learned the lesson yet.
Mm-hmm.
But
And-
wouldn't choosing to judge in that way actually be a choice and cause polarization, which is the point of
Exactly.
experiencing, though, in this density is experiencing that. So by not doing it, are you staying in the middle to where you could reincarnate as a less being on a different planet because you
it's-
didn't choose?
In that moment, it's not about reincarnation. In that moment, it's about the next moment. Okay. And so you want to be in a neutral state because if you've been doing your work and your practices, it means you're at a higher vibrational frequency. And so as you move through your day and events happen, it doesn't sway your energy up or sway your energy down.
Yeah,
so
you're not a feather in the
because
wind.
the game doesn't end, it just keeps reprinting billions of times every second. And so there is no time to think about the present moment. There's just time to experience. And when it's done, you're going to experience something else.
Mm-hmm.
So why worry about what's gonna like it's just gonna keep changing.
Well, I mean, like thinking about this and learning more about karma, the wheel of karma, and stuff like that. I mean, you can't help but be extremely self-conscious about what you're doing, maybe even somewhat fearful. It's almost like you're creating fear for yourself because, like, I don't want to reincarnate and not remember anything at this point of where I'm at now, and I'm scared of that. And then now I'm
Absolutely.
questioning everything I'm thinking and doing. You know what I mean?
That's part of it.
Because
In
like
the
I
beginning, it is.
don't want to
It
want to
is.
reincarnate.
What do
you
I
know?
do?
You know, unless I gain, maybe like double my dick size, I might try that and be a porn star one time, or maybe I was, and that's why I got a smaller one. I don't know.
Maybe you went too far last life.
That's the going
last
back we were
life.
talking about
Yeah.
earlier. You gotta take him back a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut him in half right there.
Maybe you were really, really tall in your last life.
No,
you know?
I doubt that. I think I've been here forever. That's why I'm so used to it.
I feel comfortable here.
But but like seriously though, so like I think that's kind of what I'm struggling with now. Like I'm almost afraid to polarize myself in a way to not like I want to do bad or anything, but it's like, well, what am I doing? And I like so overanalyze a decision that I'm faced with, whatever way, that I don't even know or even know what to feel, because now I'm questioning my feeling about that, and then I end up like staying absurdly neutral and not doing anything or saying anything that could cause a polarization in any direction because
It's like not,
Yeah, I
making,
gotcha.
not making
I
any
don't want to
decision because you
accidentally
don't want to make the
incur
wrong
a bad
decision.
karma. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, but look at it this way. What you're describing to me in detail is you working through letting go of those reasons why.
And those
I
reasons,
feel
Right.
that too.
And you have to be able to identify, look how much I've labeled and understand why I haven't yet. Right? I know all this detail, all this intimate detail of every reason why I have not yet, and I'm trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just let go of all of that and sit there with yourself. And then even after sitting with yourself and you move on in the day, don't think back on, how did I feel when I did that?
And I don't. Like, I'm really good at entering a state where I don't feel or desire or want anything. And sometimes getting even deeper into that state, I wonder if, maybe I should be doing something more to either lead people in a better direction or what I'm doing, or if there's other deaths that I don't even know about that I need to try to chase down.
Well, there's nothing you need to do, all right, other than be, because the lessons come to you. You don't go to the lessons.
that's exactly right. It
Okay.
says that in that book, that the lessons they're just drawn to you like a magnet, and then you just deal with them,
Yeah.
and then you move on to the
It's
next
like
thing.
like one of them little slides that just
That little, you look
Yeah.
through the thing and
Yeah.
you went like
you don't
this.
go nowhere to find the different experiences
there.
through that,
They're
right?
there.
Like they come to you. And so again, stop worrying, because the worrying, that whole frequency is what's going to cause a continuation of this what seems to be neutral and non-moving. I've identified and labeled this experience I'm having currently as non-moving and just not really getting out of that neutral state for me. Like that right there is the manifestation. That spelling of words, ideas, and belief is what's causing it to continually repeat, and it seems like the movement's slower, right? But Just let go of that, and it takes some time. You got to let go of it for a time period. As many times during the day, as many seconds we spend constantly trying to figure out and worry, we have to spend that same amount of time not doing it.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of karma, or does an atheist, like a true atheist, incur from not believing in anything outside of themselves? Like, what is?
I have no idea because I'm not that. And so it's you can't, again, this is an idea of concepts that you're learning for yourself to understand that you are one with everything, and so there needs to be no definition of anything outside of you. Now if we want to make sure that we understand that, like, again, I want to backtrack, right? There's one particle here, okay? And that's you. You're the only one here. All right?
I feel like
and
you're here.
You see me in a hologram, in a fractal optical illusion, yes, but I am just a reflection of your particle, okay? And so imagine one single particle.
So what does that make me to you?
Now, imagine the same, right? We're all here by ourselves. But hear me out. You're this one particle that expands, it because of vibration, right? It goes up and down. It goes so fast. It expands to infinite, to all creation, and it collapses to infinite into the field. So rapidly fast, billions of times per second. You are this particle, and you vibrate so fast that things appear in your experience to be side by side, a table, in a room, and wherever you go. But you can only see a certain frame, and that's the observable field at that point in time, okay? And so everything is just a reflection of you. I'm just Nick and Josh Form here to bring to you whatever lessons you learn in your life based off the decisions you and I make together and that you make and how you think and feel, right? And same with Shayna and y'all's relation, right? You're here to walk through with yourself in different versions of the same thing, of love. There is no separation.
You know, and I feel like kind of off topic, but still on the same topic. So, like the lessons I was learning as a younger human and the intense experiences that I had, I don't get those anymore, at all. And I feel like sometimes I'm not even learning lessons anymore. The life's getting really boring, which is actually really one of the reasons why I started or wanted to start this podcast with you was because, like, you know what? I'm just going to be as raw as possible and truly be authentic as I can to learn authenticity, to be out there to almost create polarization with other people to choose, you know? And I guess it's really not more of a question, but more of a statement. I mean,
yeah, being authentic is polarizing for a lot of people.
Polarizing for everybody.
Yeah, which is good because just because it polarizes everyone else doesn't hurt your karma any. You're just being your true authentic self, and you're not judging, and you're just being love, and you're in service to others. But that doesn't mean that you got to walk around picking everybody up and doing everything for everybody. Yeah. If you're not working on yourself more than anything else in this creation, well, then you're missing the cart.
So, so me being authentic though can cause other people to judge, and obviously, you know, I can't really control what other people are thinking, or can I? By not doing that. Because
you're not hearing them think. It's you thinking. So it's just you judging them judging themselves.
It's like a mirror. It's like,
that's exactly right.
Have you ever been around somebody, or I've been around people that, like, I trigger them for some reason. Just me being me just triggers them. But, you know, it's like I'm a mirror to them.
Exactly.
And whatever they don't like within themselves
just reflects right
off of me back to them, and they see that. So it's really something they don't like about themselves.
Exactly.
But
you spot it, you got
I'm the object that it's reflected off of.
I love it.
So that's why being authentic is so important.
So, and letting go of the mind while being in the moment. Be in the moment authentically.
So obviously I think everybody has a good idea of what bad karma is. Like, that's what's spoken about the most, you know, like you
would cheat a hoe,
you hit a deer on the way home. It's like, that's bad karma, bitch, you know what I mean? But so what about good karma? Okay. And
how do we get that?
Well, so like to that right there, that's funny. But so if you are doing stuff to intentionally receive good karma, does that make you in service to self?
No, absolutely not, because we're here to have elevated high vibrational frequency experiences. Just so happens that a high vibrational experience resonates with wealth and riches and love and abundance and great things and people that love you and surrounded by environments that are flourishing and organic and clean. Like, that is a natural high vibration. So it's not like we're doing anything out of orthodox.
Well, there's people that are manipulative that go ahead and like make maybe want to make a good karmic choice as a manipulation. That's different than just making a choice that's good.
Yes, because that's a good choice for them.
Right.
Right.
Because
but it's
it gives
dominating
them something, but it's
it's dominating
control.
others.
Yeah.
It's dominating others. And so that would still be a negative karmic debt that then has to be paid tenfold. And what we're going to find out is as we get closer and closer and closer to the actual, it's called like the split, like the splitting of the planets, right? The repetition
Hold on. You said that like I was going to absolutely know what you meant by that. I've never heard
The splitting of
of
the
the planet. So
Is that gonna?
it's like, oh yeah, you've heard of the splitting of the planets.
He
Like,
said, yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. I was like, well, I have no idea what that means.
Oh,
Okay, so
sorry.
10-second explanation of what that means. Does it mean to do really
Okay.
from where you're
We're going to, so essentially, right, when we talk about the split of the planets, we're talking about how New Earth will be created and we'll just arrive at that place. And then,
So the graduation of Earth
the graduation of
to
Earth.
fourth density.
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's multiple realms, right? There'll be the last ride of that third density Earth planet, which will end up in destroy and AI and all that stuff, and then there'll be this new Earth that exists that we're all upon that vibrate at frequency of love or greater, right? And so that's what I mean by the split. I don't know what else I was going to talk about though.
So I got a question kind of off base on the same topic a little bit. So like the entity Raw, they say that they can communicate, telepathically back and forth, and
Absolutely.
So like the things that we do, like they can think something and somebody else knows, like the ultimate form of communication.
Don't we
I
already
even
somewhat
have to-
experience that? I mean,
But so the things
with
that we're
your loved
doing,
ones?
the things that we're doing in this density at a high level, like Facebook, phone calls, stuff that you're doing on your phone to connect to other people around you, but people are not in front of you. It sounds like we're trying to be who we were before, because like if you read the story of creation and development of civilizations through any other entity, like even in the Bible, there's a Tower of Babel where everybody spoke the same language. In my opinion, that's talking about how they could communicate telepathically, and then some above entity said that that's bad because they're becoming like God, and then like cut that off. And so like what we're doing, like communicating, being on your phone,
Separating us, though.
We're
Separating us.
reestablishing
so if like what we're
communication.
doing, like even like through Facebook and being on social media, which I'm not a fan of, I'm not supporting it in any way, but I was just reflective thought, like doing these things that like it's like we miss that part of being able
Yes.
to communicate instantly, and then
So
we're
we're
trying to find a way to
artificially-
do it, but we're also judging ourselves for doing that, saying that's not right.
and attached to the technology, the
Attached to-
easiness of
that's the only way we have
the
it. But if the
technology.
goal is to get back to where we were, being able to communicate telepathically, and as we're doing that in third density, we're also frowning upon the same idea of
that
what
we're trying to
achieve.
achieve. Yeah.
So what is
Well, look at it this way. Like again, nothing's bad, right? Now, Facebook had made
Well,
some very
I don't
evil
mean-
moves, right? Like there's evil
well, I'm not
things.
talking about like the
There's
just-
negative. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
There's negative oriented choices that are unfolding in front of our eyes in the forms of these social media concepts, and they're being deceitful, and they're doing a lot of low vibrational frequency things, right? But as we move into the new earth, when you learn how to be aware and understand and have already identified that concept, you then transmute it. So now I see a social media platform of the same stature, but in service to others and made for love and protection. And then I even see it, like, okay, I see states making moves like Florida, making it illegal for anyone under the age of 14 to have a Facebook profile in Florida. That's about to enact right now, right? And so, like,
I thought you had to be 18 anyways. Or
I think,
because
I think
what's
it-
happening,
17, I
yeah,
don't
because what's happening is there's a very specific vibrational frequency being conditioned to all the people that are just constantly in these phones and in these apps,
Yeah,
right?
it becomes their reality.
Yeah,
like
you're giving the consciousness.
You're feeding your consciousness with stuff, and then you are reflecting that into your own reality
Simultaneously,
from a
the
very
stuff,
young age too.
You're projecting what is already capable of within you
And you're
into
only
physical
seeing that.
form, and then you're thinking that that's the only way that you can experience the same experience of that type of experience. But really, if you can put your phone away for multiple hours of the day and like just don't get on it, and then like make that 3 times a day and then 4 times a day, you know, and like and then get to where like, okay, you can hold it in your pocket, but you're never on it all day long. Can you even get to that point? One, and then take all the time that you were utilizing to be on your social media and all that stuff and
put it
sit
into
down
something else.
and put it into some practice, put it in some, you know, again, learning how to let go of thought processes and let go of wants and needs and to let go of expectations and to let go of judgments. Get to a point to where you can be so internally silent, right? And then look up breath work. Breath work's a great one to get into the body because you feel a sensation radiating through every inch of your body when you get into some cool breath work practices. And so there's a million different kinds out there. I suggest trying all of them, and then whatever ones that are easiest and most comfortable for you to be able to get into that zone, that's the one that you do repetitively over and over and over and over.
No, I agree. Try, in everything in life. Try everything. You know, don't assume like everything you've been taught is right. And yeah, I mean, like to that exactly. There's literally nobody, or when you first are learning about the stuff that we're talking about, religion and stuff like that, there's nothing, and I say this to all my Christian friends that are listening that are just hating on me. There's not anything that you believe that wasn't just taught to you that you've never actually thought about and criticized on your own. Nothing. Not one single thing. Even to say that the Bible is this unbroken word of God, that's not true at all. Because
someone had to teach you that.
Well, there's so many books that's been written before that and taken out of the Bible that at one point was holy. Mm-hmm. Like the Bible was holy. Like the Apocrypha was taken out, you know, and I guess that was the 20th century, in the 1900s. Mm-hmm. And at one point, everyone's like, all these books are the unfathomable, like
the only truth. The only truth that there is.
And then at some point, there was a group of people that got together like, you know what, let's just take these out. And like, now
we've got the actual truth.
This one is right.
This
even
is good.
This Bible that exists now, they're still even up to date. There are verses that get removed for it, and they're like, now this is it. Like, well, what do you like? It doesn't even make sense. Like, and people say like God protects the scripture or whatever. It's like, well, why didn't he protect it the first time?
Yeah.
Like, did he change his mind? I guess God doesn't change, but in the Bible it does. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of times in the Old Testament where like Moses and the prophets are contending with God, and there was multiple occasions with Moses where God was wanting to, in the story, God was wanting to kill all the Israelites, and God was like saying, please, no, remember what you promised. And then the Bible literally says, then God changed his mind.
You know what? Something was really told about me actually
like,
about the
like
Bible.
God is looking down and be like, dang,
no,
Moses,
God,
you're right.
This is a bad choice, God.
You think about what you're doing, God.
Yeah, well, hear this out. This was told to me one time that was absolutely exhilarating, and it was about the Bible specifically, right? And basically the guy was like, you know, whenever you go to experience the Bible and you read it, right, don't read it in third person position and seeing all these people in this time period that experienced this guy named Jesus and had all these experiences, but instead see the Bible and the scripture as the mind of man, and imagine that it's in your head and you're the one, and the disciples are just the different facets of your mindset, right? Mm-hmm. The Simon, Peter, Paul, right? They all brought these different energies and different mindsets, if you will. And when you learn how to discipline the 12 mindsets or disciples of the mind, of the consciousness, then they all work in unison and in uniformed aspect for you.
That's awesome, man. And I was actually listening to somebody on another podcast that I follow. It was I just totally forgot the podcast. The Wealthy Way. It's gonna bug the shit. Anyways, moving on from that.
Okay.
Anyway, but he's a very religious, or not religious, but Christian entrepreneur. Awesome podcast to listen to. But he was interviewing somebody who was very spiritual. It'd be like somebody interviewing you, and it was about business and tying it together. And he asked, like, what, like, if you don't believe, and this is the exact struggle or a lot of the same path that I was going to in my way of thinking, like, if you don't believe, like, the Bible or any of these other religions are true, and you're choosing, this, what is viewed from religious people as a neutral path of not choosing, like, so, like, what do you believe about Christianity in God? And, well, his answer was, which really resonated to me, was, I believe it all. I think these are tools that in different parts of the world
100%.
that were developed to
Explain
for
it.
God to find a way to draw us closer to Him. And then as we've developed as civilizations, now these
All
different
the
tools are
civilizations
kind of like,
that
well,
come
no, you're
together.
wrong. No, you're wrong. And then
Well, it
they're all the
all really
same thing to
says
have
the
the
same thing.
the same purpose. And yeah, and like they all do. And I didn't even realize this as much until Shayna took her world religions class.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so wild to read about, and you can speak more on this way more than I can, but just in the background listening to it, how every single religion says the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm. Like Hindu and Buddhism, when you talk about the wheel of karma, they talk about right choices and then right karma,
mind,
right mind,
right livelihood.
Yeah, and it's really just about assessing your options, making the best right choice that you can at that time.
At that present moment, and not
Yeah.
having any thought of expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And well, like I guess not who, but to dive into this a little bit more, we said like there is no right and there is no wrong, really.
Just
But we're
choice.
still sitting here talking about the wheel of karma and like what is right and what is wrong. Is there like who's the arbitrator of saying what is right?
Nothing
I
is
don't
right.
really
Nothing is
think-
wrong. It's just your choice of experience. And so if you
Yeah.
like the sensation of higher vibrational things, well, then there's certain ways of being, thinking, doing, and acting that can implement a much faster, repetitious experience of abundance or fun or excitement or love or joy. Doesn't mean we're not going to experience an upset, broken heart in our experience, right? Because, people pass. We can still honor them and love them, and there might be some energy that needs to release from us in that moment instead of pressing down, right? But it's learning how to feel the full aspects and the extremities of all of the different sensations of experience, right?
So, because actually on the podcast, I'd like to have not a debate, but I want to have 4 different people sitting here on these microphones with different beliefs, and we're going to come together and talk about them. And you know what I mean? Like or a Christian, a Catholic,
Yeah.
you and me, or, just
Yeah.
really just open up and talk about it. But I know, so like, let's get real with it. So like saying that there is no good and that there is no bad. And like, I'm just picturing this conversation because I know I've heard these arguments a lot. So I like watching debates about this stuff where like to say that there is no good and that there is no bad, like, okay, so
That's
let's
not
talk
to say
about
that-
yeah,
it's
it's
not
not
to
a-
say
yeah,
that
it's
good
not
things
saying
and
that,
bad
yeah.
things don't happen.
We're just saying there's no more judgment of it, and so there it's an
so,
understanding
well,
that
like
it's
to
all
that.
the same
So
thing
let's
playing
get
out.
to child rape and human trafficking.
Yeah, as
so
horrible as that is.
how do we not judge that?
Well,
So
it's,
like even today, so we're talking about P Diddy and the trafficking. And
there's
stuff
a
that he's doing.
difference. There's a difference between judging it and saying I do not accept that. That is not who I am. I don't allow that in my creation, right? And then can you simultaneously though see the beauty of what the situation could look like if there was no sex trafficking happening right then? Can you see the flip? Can you see the reflection in the vibrational frequency that you can only create in your being, right? While that's happening, can we let go of this as a collective? Can we observe it? Can we say, no more, you're not going to do that? Can we get rid of the people that are doing it? Yes, and yes.
So that's very well said. So like I talked about this movie that we just all watched.
I
Well,
knew
that
you
we
were gonna-
watched.
I knew you were gonna bring it
Well,
up.
it just popped in my head the girl in the basement story. That
Oh,
we talked
yeah.
about, where the girl was held in captivity by her own father, raped like
Seven
repeatedly.
kids, had 7 kids.
For 24 years, had 7 kids with her father in captivity. And we found out, or Shana found out, that this happened. Where did it happen again?
It was in Austria.
Austria.
Germany.
During
It was in the-
they
it
lived
was
in a
in
house
the
that
80s.
was built in World War II,
Right.
and they had this bomb bunker, and that's why that was there. So they bought the house with this bomb bunker, and that's where she was kept in captivity. But Shana said something the other day, or literally yesterday. Then we're talking about we choose our life that we're going to experience here on this earth, and she was like, "Why in the world would anybody choose that to be miserably?" Kept in captivity in this experience. And I mean, the most unfathomable things, raped by your father at a very young age, birthing children by yourself in a bomb bunker below your house while your family's above you. Like, why
No
would anybody
light.
choose that?
Yeah.
So, and saying that there is no judgment on that, like, how do you not hear something like that and judge or have any type?
Here's an answer to that. One thing is it's not happening. Now, stick with me, okay?
I'm gonna have to.
Yes, you saw out in this projection, in this hologram, right? You see
But
infinite.
it did
But
happen.
I know. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not denying that the experience didn't happen. Okay, but what I am saying is it didn't happen to you right now. But what's happening is you're projecting yourself in the experience of that, because that is within you. Okay, it wouldn't be out there if it wasn't in here. And we as a collective, as one unit, okay, are in a realm that is made of the quantum field, and in the quantum field, all infinite experiences, anything that ever could happen, could be created, will happen, won't happen, it's all simultaneously happening. Okay, now we're working through these lower density realms which resonate with the experience of rape, of sex trafficking, of control.
It's that yellow. What is it? The yellow light.
Yellow ray.
It's the yellow
the
ray.
yellow ray, the red ray, all the lower chakras,
Yeah.
right? Because this
But-
world was manipulated by entities and taken advantage of, and it fell into these lower dense realms of experiences. And
Those
so
are your serial killers, your rapers,
Well,
your
even farther
Adolf
back than that,
Hitlers,
yeah.
your all that stuff.
way
'Cause
long
they
before
see control.
from the very beginning, it spun off into this deep dark age, and there was beautiful avatars that walked upon this earth in much denser times than what, even though now seems like really dense, those were much denser times. People slaughtering people, chopping their heads off, raping each other. Like, yes, we have this, which is the most horrific thing in the world, but it was way worse back in the day. Okay,
I mean, barbarians just
Barbarians.
like ripping people apart and pillaging
Eating
towns
each other.
and eating each other
Yeah.
like wild.
And so we are now at a point of choice and graduation, which is why we see the extremities of both dimensions
Happening.
Okay, so but again, it's important that we understand the game or the simulation. We understand the functionings and mechanics of what's actually happening, that we're moving through as a collective, and we have to be able to let go of those things and create the vibrational frequency that has no match to. But every time I think about it, I'm matching my vibration to it. Every time I feel sick about it, I feel angry. And why? And does it make any sense? And there's nothing I can do. You're tuning into it and you're fueling it.
Would battling that situation put you in a higher frequency, though?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and
But you
making
have
it
to
out.
you have to lower yourself to.
Everyone came here to
big-
experience every level.
So like do I feel like from like that exact example? So to think about something and to be stirred by it is matching yourself to that frequency, and then
Absolutely.
to do something about it
Is-
would be to go up. So are we constantly, or as it sounds
So
like, we
there's a
constantly
couple different
up and
things on
down
that.
through frequencies?
Couple different things on that, okay? So I see something, okay, and I feel an energy inside of me. Now, if that energy all of a sudden flushes over my body, and instantly the first thing I think is, I turn angry at it, and I start judging it and labeling it and why it's happening and why it's not happening, right? Well, that state of beingness, right, is a state of separation, because you believe in that moment that something outside of you is happening, and that's what's triggering and causing this experience to happen. Okay, that's one way. The other way is, after you're done looking at it, right, like over periods of time, and you keep reeling back to it, and what are we going to do? We're never going to fix it, and this, that, and the other, right? Whenever it comes into your experience or conversation or your mind for whatever reason, right, don't judge it. Just look at it for the first time and go, you know what? Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm so grateful that I am abundant and I am love, and I am here to change the frequency of myself that will lift the vibrational frequency of everyone and everything around me. Mm-hmm. And through this action alone, all will be cured of illness, and all evil things will fall away, because I am the highest vibrational frequency of myself. I am magnificent. Now, here's what I'm doing. I'm not stating I, the body, right? I am stating I, the presence of infinite source energy, am that abundance, because God is not lacking anything. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not searching for God to help me out. I am becoming one as the creator, with the understanding of the power endowed to me to be able to create and manifest a new experience, because where my attention goes, energy flows. Mm-hmm. And what I place my attention on long enough begins to repeat in the reality. And so if I am the all that is of love and abundance and purity and innocence, well, then I will begin to see my reality reflect that. It tends to take longer for people because they're being shoved light and information down their faces, and they can't let go of the reasons why they need to know and what they can do to fix it, that it just continues to repeat in the same old manner. And that's the first way to tell if you're in the karmic cycle, is the same thing continuously happening time over time over time again. That's the number one rule. If you want to identify if you're in a wheel of karma, then the same thing is just happening over and over and over and over and over.
Say that again, because that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how you identify if you're in the wheel of karma, is if everything in your life just continues to repeat itself in the exact same manner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And I would say even like the way you view the world, like if you believe like so many scorned women and men will say like all men are fucking garbage.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you just attract
maybe
garbage.
Judgment.
You had that. Well, you had the same experience over and over that was bad, and you didn't learn your lesson.
You didn't make a different choice.
You're experiencing something, then you develop this idea, and you're pushing whatever lesson you're supposed to learn so far away that you have this terrible attitude that just brings down your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But so, what about like something like I've struggled, I guess not struggled with, but it's been kind of on top of mind lately. I have so much peace in my life now, you know, from everything I've experienced and decided who I am, and this lovely lady across from me right there, bam, very, like, so much peace. And like, you know, we see a lot of people every day doing what we do, and like my heart breaks sometimes, and I almost feel bad because I feel like I'm receiving a peace that I didn't deserve, you know.
You do deserve it,
and it's almost, well, I mean, yeah. But
well, you absolutely were worthy of that experience in that moment, and that's beautiful. And the idea is that whenever you see it and it hits you, you don't need to think about it in order to understand and comprehend the sensation and feeling. And so we're learning how to, as we're walking through our life experiences, when things happen internally, that sensation, that we no longer label or attach ideas, thoughts, or judgments to it. You just let it happen and it moves on, right? Mm-hmm. It's what the Buddha calls living the path of the middle way, right? And so it's just like if I had a pendulum in front of me, just like a timeline of experiences. If I see something that I'm ashamed of and I try to push it away, what happens? It comes right back to me.
The harder you push it away,
yeah,
the harder it comes back to you.
Exactly. And the more I push away, the more it comes back. And so when I learn how to just experience the present moment right now, and then the next moment, 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 and just continue to let the mind go. If it rises, just let it fall away. Move your mind right back into your body. I like to put my mind in my feet. I can feel my feet on the ground right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel the pressure of the bottom of my foot against the ground of the floor.
Can you feel my hand on your leg?
I can feel it. I can feel it. You got small hands. Yeah.
See,
so,
I wouldn't have chose that.
And so I just hold my mind on my feet and I just continue to do it. And I take a deep breath. And I repeat that breath. I close my eyes so I don't have stimulus from the light that's like coming in, and I hold my mind on my feet. And for just as long as I can, I take a break from all the stimulus, from all the people, from all the situations, from all the social media, from all the children, from just everything. I create space because that's my responsibility, is to create space and work on myself. And sometimes working on yourself means doing nothing, because it's the nothing that needs to be done in order for us to create the balance necessary to have a very high frequency experience. And we are all very rapidly raising our frequency. It's very rapid.
I feel like that's very true. Mm-hmm. So like back to judgment. So like one of the reasons like started this podcast is to reach people, to help elevate whatever, and whatever form that comes. How do we do that without judgment? Because we're saying that person doesn't have something that I have, or that's saying, or
well, there is no person outside of you. So the first step is to realize you are not separate from anything else. It is a reflection of what you think is physical body, is a body of energy, and that is you, right? And so it's learning how to become the creator in your experience by understanding everything is made of you. Mm-hmm. Not me, Josh, the human. Not me, Nick Dollins, the dolldozer. Okay? The awareness that is here before the body, mm-hmm. the awareness of the body, that is what we are. Mm-hmm. And can we move into that position with our consciousness, with our attention, and feel what the body feels like? Because that's what we don't feel with senses in a higher dimension.
Not like we do here.
Not like we do here. Only when we incarnate on these planets. Now, yes, we'll feel in the fourth density. There'll be a fourth density vessel that'll be way upgraded. That's where we talk about telepathy,
like Ready Player
and stuff
One,
like that.
When he puts that suit on.
But well, I guess it is a simulation, but we won't have to put any suits on. It'll just be us. Mm-hmm. Right? Funny is like we're in that simulation right now.
We're just moving towards a different...
We're aware of ourselves, and so that pure shift in consciousness moves us into the next dimensional game, into the next dimensional experience.
So I want to ask you something. This is really a personal opinion thing. So I remember when I first started selling cars in 2008. Okay, I remember one of the reasons that I wanted to quit was because I felt like I was giving bad financial decisions and advice to somebody for my own personal gain to take on a debt for a depreciating asset. Mm-hmm. It's for my own personal gain. So are we in?
So you felt like you were taking advantage of people. In a sense.
Kind of. I felt like I guess I wasn't putting anything that was inherently good out there because of that.
Right.
And like obviously I don't like I'm not I guess it's something that's in my head, like, am I actually doing?
I got you, bro.
I got you. Look,
I know what you're saying. It's like this. Look, again, we're letting go of all of the past reasons of why we are not the highest vibrational frequency. So
I guess my question
is, it matters not if it did accrue, because right now you have the choice to choose a higher vibrational next moment. And so by the idea of trying to validate an understanding of a karmic debt that you did that you can't let go of because you feel that maybe I did something that wasn't right, or it was so heavy that you just can't stop allowing it to creep into your mind and allowing it to have way into your next moment, right? We just have the choice to let it go. Now, in the moment, yes, when you did that, it caused a chain domino effect of moments and experiences that match that vibrational frequency. That was the karmic debt. But now you can let go of it and never think of it again because you're just addicted to the process of letting go of that karmic debt.
That was a heavy response than I thought it was going to be. But I mean,
I see what you're saying though. You like, in a way, you kind of like felt bad. Like
I mean,
I'm not. You're not taking advantage of somebody, but like it made you feel a certain kind of way. Like I'm benefiting from this person not benefiting, even though it's just a job. It's just a means to an end. Somebody needs a vehicle and they can't afford a whole lot and they haven't made good financial decisions in their life, and that's why they are where they are.
I mean, yeah. So like, I really, at the end of the day, I don't want to say I feel bad about it because, I worked very hard to be who I am in business and then I have my skill set. But sometimes, like I exercise my skill set in a way to where, like, when we close a deal, I'm like, damn,
Whoops.
that's a lot for them, dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like this, right? It's about a balance, right? And in any time that the person really needed it to be where it needed to be, we always put it where they needed to be, And so, is every decision perfect? No, it's not. But what we do continuously is be there in any way, in every way, and we balance the whole situation, experience, and all of that. And even in those times that it was like, oh yeah, we really got a lot on that one, right?
Well, I never feel bad for like us getting a lot.
Yeah.
But the burden I strapped on them, and maybe the idea of them not fully understanding what they just signed
and got into. Yeah, people don't get. But again, it's not as a salesman of any product, right? It's about, is your product made with love? One, is it?
Well, I mean,
is it organically produced? Right. This is all we can do is produce an organic, loving, fair, well-treated, equally treated, fairly treated experience. And then whoever comes along in the simulation and walks through theirs, we give them the best advice, as we always do. Here's what your payments are going to be at. This is going to be the requirement for it.
Still their choice.
You only got $1,000 worth of income, but I got you approved. If you want it, it's all yours, right? There's nothing outside of that we are doing that it's trying to manipulate, right? That's just a choice for them to do. And if they want to make that choice was already planned way long before they came here, my friend.
Yeah.
And now they're just playing out their karmic lessons within that experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. Oh, one thing I want to talk about before we get too close to wrapping this up is Shayna told me, because I told her before we came here that we're going to talk about the Wheel of Karma, and she said that what temple did you go to?
It's called the Palace of Gold.
And first of all, she responded, I was like, we're talking about the Wheel of Karma. She's like, I love this. I've been a lot of people's karma.
I have been a lot of people's karma. They were supposed to do me right. They did me dirty, and karma'd them. Sorry. But in my first marriage, I was married to a pipeliner. We traveled all over the United States, and we lived in West Virginia one of these times, and we were there for quite a while. And I was homeschooling the kids at that time. So whenever we would get someplace, I would like look up every single cool thing that we could do that had some type of learning experience attached to it, So I found out there was this place called the Palace of Gold, which is a Hindu temple. And actually people who in India and who are Hindu, part of their religion is they have to have a pilgrimage. And so for a lot of people that couldn't get out of the United States that were Indian, and maybe they couldn't afford to take their pilgrimage back to India or couldn't get back there for some reason, literally, so that's what it was. And it's this temple in the middle of nowhere in these like mountains. And I think the Punjabi or whatever his name is, let me look it up because I had it here. Yeah, I don't know. How do you say that, do you think?
Jeff.
Prabhupadas,
something like that.
something like that.
Papusa.
Prabhupadas.
Yeah. Anyways,
Buddhas.
this was their temple, and they had monks there, and you could tour the temple, and it talked about karma, and it talked about everything that you talked about. And it was weird for me because, you know, I grew up going to Lutheran school and Christian school, and so like to me it was like all of our Bible stories, you know what I mean, like Adam and Eve and Noah's Ark and everything. But it was their temple, and they had a whole different storyboard, you know, and it was just really, really interesting. And they had monks there that had shaved heads with just like a little poof back here. And they had like, I don't know what it's called, but it's this thing that they throw over their back when they pray. And it actually,
No, I know what you're talking about.
you know what I'm
I don't
talking
know
about?
what it's called. But
I don't know.
Isn't it like smoking sometimes? No,
Well,
that's a
sometimes
Catholic
they
thing.
have incest. Sometimes they have
No,
incense in it. But this was different. This was like something they hit themselves in the back with. I don't know
Yeah.
like what the purpose of that was, but they would do it when they were praying, you know. And they had a lotus, like ponds with lotus flowers, and it was crazy. And they had in the temple they had all these golden statues that people prayed to and offered money to, and you had to take your shoes off when you got in there. So you would walk in, take your shoes. There was just like hundreds and hundreds of pairs of shoes, you know, sitting out there because it was sacred and you couldn't go in there, you know, without just your bare feet. But at that time I was really, really convicted even being in there. And I was just like, God, you know, like not worshiping any idols here, just checking it out, you know, just want to see what's going on. But I was blown away that people were actually bowing down and praying and giving money to like these statues. It kind of blew my mind, you know, but it was a really, really interesting experience for sure.
That is an interesting experience. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of concepts that come from that realm of the world. But that's just one little area. You know, these concepts and these ideas have birthed from every place over the globe, you know, and can be found written in text and tablets and ancient writings way far, 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 far behind our time. And so it's exciting that we are awakening to these truths and that we are starting to understand that we are the technology. In that we have a very, very high rate and vibration of consciousness, and we're going to move into a beautiful experience.
You know, one thing is, as we wrap this up here, we're getting a lot of listeners every day that are coming here, and I feel a lot of the ones that I've brought are religious people, and to hear the things from that perspective that we're talking about, because I know. I haven't even personally talked to somebody that, like, when I say this stuff I'm saying, they're like, dude, I've always wondered that. You know, I've always thought that. Even talking to religious people, it's like, man, I've always had that question. And now that we're publicly voicing these things that people have that's really thought about, but they're so scared with their family, which is, you know, which any religious family, especially here in the Bible Belt, that you know you experience that you don't ask, you don't ask these questions. So anybody hearing this right now, what do you think would be beneficial for this person? Next steps for material to read or how to think, like, you know, how do you start this journey?
The best book, and the number one book I would suggest for everyone, especially if this is like real new concept to you, you'd never heard it before. There's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, wow, it's going to click. It's going to click quick, and they're going to have the aha moments, and all of a sudden they're going to get the downloads, and they're just going to understand better, and they're going to be able to follow along quicker. But for anyone out there starting, there is a beautiful book called The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle. It was the book that triggered my awakening. And because it was the book that taught me how to become aware of the third personality, the protective personality, the egoic mind, and it taught me how to become more silent and peaceful in my mind, and it taught me how to stop judging and how to love, you know, and then it just kind of trailed on from there. But that's always a great start, and it's an easy read.
Beautiful. And, you know, what's... As a Christian before, and like I still always like relate to Christians, you know, what do you think would be the first thought process or action that you would call to somebody to dive deeper in themselves to because I remember being terrified to reach outside of the Bible for any information because I literally thought everything outside of the Bible was demonic.
Yeah.
Literally everything. Not even being sarcastic or funny. It's literally how I thought.
All the answers are in here. All the answers you need are right here.
I was literally like the Water Boy's mom.
Yeah.
That's the devil. Tarot cards? Devil.
Devil.
Football's the devil.
Devil worship.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like the water boy in my family.
Yeah.
No, Mom, it ain't the devil. And I saw her babies, and I like them too.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
the experience.
And breaking those chains, and even researching this stuff, more, and learning and growing, and I hear from the more I learn and research, the more the scripture that I grew up reading comes to life.
Yeah.
Jesus is called a chain breaker, okay?
Yeah.
And really reading into his teachings of what he was actually teaching,
what the chains he was actually
translated.
breaking.
He was putting the practice in.
Yes.
These chains are broken.
Yeah.
And I truly believe if you are a hardcore Christian where heaven and hell, fire and brimstone, you are held down by chains. And to say you're not is just you're hitting the outside of that chain.
Literally afraid of everything. So you're living in fear and shame and guilt 90% of your life because you're like, if I make this choice, I'm going to hell. This is a sin. That is a sin.
Shame. Repentance.
Yeah,
I have to repent.
You're bad.
Constant
And this
forgiveness.
isn't
I guess not even-
every
Christian,
Yeah,
but I
'cause
mean, we've all read the Bible.
But there's definitely the different-
I don't know, because I would say that's pretty much every single Christian, because you cannot say you're a Christian and not think like that, because the whole religion
It's based
is
on
based
that.
off
That is what it's based off of. I don't care if I offend anybody by saying that because it's the actual
No, I don't
truth.
either. And this really isn't a question for you. And if you are in that situation right now in your life, man, just don't be afraid to reach out to us or anything. And I know we'll get a lot of questions about this, but I mean, man,
I want to say one thing.
don't be a bitch.
Well, I don't really think that's it.
Well, I know that
you-
resonated with somebody.
Have you ever
Somebody like
seen
that.
the movie? Is it The Book of Eli with
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson? Or
No,
not
it's
Sam-
not-
Denzel
or-
Washington.
I mean
It's Sam-
Denzel.
But yes, we've seen the Book of Eli.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman's in it. No, I'm just kidding. But the whole storyline of the book is he's blind and he's got the Bible memorized and all this other, what's it called when it's that type of movie? It's called something.
Okay, what is that?
Apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's another word that you always use for it, but I can't. When the society breaks down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Anyways, it
yeah, I
doesn't
know.
matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, but this, the other main character in the movie that wants the Bible because all the books have been destroyed, everything has been burned, and he wants to find the Bible so that he can use it to control everyone.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal so that he can rebuild society. But, Eli has it memorized and he's not giving it up and he's also blind. So it's just crazy that storyline in that movie, I feel like it's so true.
No, well, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess, we got to wrap this up because I got to piss like a motherfucker and your
too.
bedtime thing just went off.
I gotta go night.
All
Yeah,
right, all right.
guys, man, we love you guys, and I hope this is beneficial to a lot of people that I know and talk to that have these same exact questions. And I encourage everybody to read the book that Joshua just said, "The Power of Now" by
The
who?
Power Now by Eckhart Tolle.
And talk about it,
Just talk about it.
Just talk about
ask
stuff.
the question. Ask the question.
Yeah.
Use your brain. God is a God of reason and wants you to think about yourself and who
He
is.
gave you the brain,
And to bind yourself by something that was written by other people that was just used to manipulate you is you're just hurting yourself.
And what more beautiful experience to be made of the same fabric as our infinite creator.
Beautiful. Well, guys, this was awesome. I love it. I love you guys. And
Love
the
you very
Diesel
much.
Daddies are coming back next weekend with some new entrepreneurs. And also, I really want to get some health and fitness content on a few episodes soon. So keep that in mind as we search. And guys, shoot us questions. This is really good shit. I love you guys. The Diesel Daddies are going to do
Diesel
a burnout on the
Daddies
way
are
out. Peace out.
Peace.